Loosen up your arms. They shouldn't be in such a fixed position. The shaking won't stop with all the tension built up in your muscles. Don't try again just yet. You're going to send that flying into the wall. This lesson can't be rushed. The more you try to do so, the more time we waste and the longer we will have to be here today. Take a deep breath and slow down for a moment. Then we can continue. Move your arms around if you need to. Get rid of some of that tension. Any better? Do you feel any strain? I can have the physician do an examination if you need one. If not, I can call in a fire mage to heat those areas up. Maybe I misjudged where you were in your recovery. You've done well with the shorter lessons, but the longer these sessions go, the more you seem to stress yourself. If you need some extra time to yourself, we can divide the lessons into 2 or 3 sessions a day instead of 1. Oh, is there something else you are concerned about then? With the eagerness you seem to have getting back to your room, I can't help but think that you have priorities other than your lessons. Would you care to share what's on your mind? If it's related to how I conduct a lesson, then feel free to voice your concerns. Otherwise, I won't be able to make the necessary adjustments to provide an optimal learning environment for you. If I have to take a more straightforward approach, then I will. Well, let's start by moving your arms to the correct positions. Back straight, shoulders loosened. Deep breath. It's all right. Now, allow the wind to flow to the center of your hands. No, slow down. That's better. And now we pull the arms back. Let your wrists move freely. A little more. Keep it sustained. If you let it go while you're shaking, it will swerve off in the wrong direction. Deep breaths again. Let all that tension out. A bit too much. We'll have to try again and make sure it doesn't dissipate this time. Don't be disheartened. It's all about being comfortable with the technique. Let's try once again. Move your arm back like this. Does it feel more tense when I do that? I see. No, there's nothing wrong with that. It's perfectly normal, but it is something for us to work on. Being nervous with someone being so close to you could be your downfall in a life or death situation. As a mage in my service, it is your job to help protect our kingdom in any way that is necessary. That may involve combat against enemy forces who would take advantage of our vulnerabilities. Spies may infiltrate the palace and get rid of our only source of protection from the sandstorms, meaning we as wind mages must not hesitate to fight back or know how to escape a situation. And that involves letting go of your fears so that you may act with a clear mind. However, I will make an exception right now. You are still learning after all. But at some point, I would like for you to be more comfortable in my presence. It's very clear that you aren't right now. Otherwise, you would have the old glow from all the previous times, not this new one. Now, why is that, I wonder? You've always been so eager to learn. You make it very clear when you are enjoying yourself. But this is different. Is something else causing a spark within you? You have a chance to answer first. Otherwise, I will do it for you. You never took much notice of how I observed you during your lessons. You have always been preoccupied with how you view yourself and how you have progressed. But now that you have been subject to the opinions of others, you have become more aware of how others look at you. And in the presence of someone whose job it is for you to live up to the standards of, it has become all the more taxing to maintain those standards. But it isn't just that, is it? If it were the case that you feared for your position, I would have seen much more eagerness to stay for longer and work on any mistakes you've made. Instead, you rush to leave regardless of how well you've performed. Clearly, the issue is not self-consciousness of skill. But there is one other factor I've yet to consider in the sudden change, and that is our little talk we had before. I told you that I've noticed other things during my observations. It must be quite jarring to hear such a difference in how others view you. Reassurance in one's attractiveness has a much greater impact after hearing the opposite, especially when it comes from someone you are meant to impress. Believe me when I say I take no pleasure in knowing such cross words were directed at you. But I must confess that I am pleased with the overall outcome of my efforts to muddy their perception of you. Attractiveness is their only currency, and the less you show to them, the less value they will perceive you to have. I do appreciate the thought and care that went into the design of Palace Windmage robes. Their bulk not only challenges the wearer to better their skill, but also deters any wandering eyes. His Highness wastes his blood on many things, but not so much on common folk. There is little pride in taking them as lovers. To him, doing so would be no different than a farmhand wedding his cows. And in my lifelong fight against his authority, in his mind I would not sully my pride, else I concede defeat. More proof to him that I am a failure whose blood holds no value. Oh, on the contrary. If I am able to get what I want, then he has failed in his attempt to reinforce the idea that there are things that I can't have. And to take you away from me means sullying his own pride with the standards he has set. When all the power you have comes from playing games with the strict rules you've made, you are bound to fall into your own trap and lose. Maybe in his prime he would have considered getting rid of you by more bloody means. But you are lucky to have been born much later in his life when he'd already brandished his new weapon of choice. His days are numbered. He can no longer win this fight even if he tried. It should be very clear that I've gotten what I wanted. Your actions are proof enough, are they not? Rest assured, there is no game between us, only a spark that I am more than willing to kindle. That is what you want, isn't it? Would it put you at ease to know that I find your eagerness and inquisitive nature very attractive? There are many who might fit a similar profile, But there's only one who I've seen every day, who I've come to understand the vulnerabilities of and shared my own with. To know someone so intimately is special. That intimacy can go much farther. There is nothing to fear. As long as everything is kept the way it is, no one will suspect a thing. You need only keep quiet. I will take care of everything else. There is no doubt of your feelings. All that is left is for you to decide whether you wish to act on them or not. Give it some thought and tell me when you are ready to choose how you wish to proceed. Time is always of the essence for me, but for this, I am willing to wait. As long as it takes for you to have an answer, but know that I don't have the luxury of forever.